Hi guys, I'm coming to you today with another pet of mine. This is Finnegan, as you can see from his halter. And Finnegan is in my basement right now. Told you I'd bring him in my house. My basement's not finished, so he doesn't mess anything up. Right now, I just finished brushing him. As you can see, he's real dark here. Brown, and then back here on this side he's real light, and that's because he's starting to shed his winter coat. So in the summertime he'll be all brown, like up here. He loves to be brushed. Yes. So he's nice and dark here, and I'm working on back here getting him all brushed up. He likes to have his mane brushed. Yes, he likes that, huh? Say hi, Finn. Say hi. So this is where Finnegan comes when I want to brush him in the winter time because it's too cold outside. Here's something he really, really likes. These are his Cheerios. So what I do is I just put some on the table here. And that's his snack. So Finnegan's going to listen to our story today. It's Wayside School is Falling Down. And yesterday we read chapter 4, which was called Homework. Okay. And that was the chapter where oh, let's see here. Who was it? Was it Calvin? No, Mac. Mac couldn't find his sock until he looked in the refrigerator. And he was the one that kept interrupting Mrs. Jules and getting her off subject. So they always had homework. Chapter 5 is called Another Story About Socks. If you look real closely, there's a student with someone that has torn clothes. Looks like he needs a haircut. Looks like he needs some new clothes, huh? Okay. All right, so Finn, are you gonna be good? How about I give you some more Cheerios? And you can eat while I eat, okay? There you go. Chapter 5, Another Story About Socks. Sherry brought a hobo to school for show and tell. They stood side by side at the front of the room. "This is a hobo," said Sherry. "I found him on the way to school." "Ooh, how neat," said Mauricia. The hobo had long, dirty hair and a scraggly beard. His shirt was covered with stains, and his pants had lots of colorful patches. His coat was too big for him, but it wasn't as big as Sherry's coat. Sherry was a little girl, and she wore the biggest coat in all of Wayside School. Are you going to be good? The hobo wore old black shoes that also looked like they were too big for him. But that might have been because he wasn't wearing any socks. "Tell the class something about your hobo," said Mrs. Jules. "His name is Bob," said Sherry. "I heard him ask a lady for some spare change, and the lady told him to take a bath. I tried to give him a quarter, but he said he never took money from kids. He said he likes kids a lot. He said he was a kid once himself." "Does anybody have any questions they'd like to ask Hobo Bob?" said Mrs. Jules. All the children raised their hands. The hobo looked around the room. "Yes, you," he said, pointing at Jason. "When was the last time you took a bath?" asked Jason. "I never take baths," said the hobo. "Oh, wow," said Jason. "You're lucky." "What about a shower?" asked Myron. "Hey, come back here." "What about a shower?" asked Myron. "Will you settle? Where did I leave off here?" "Oh, I just walk around outside in the rain," said the hobo. When it rains, I have to go inside, complained Myron. Where do you live? Asked Joe. All over, said Bob. In the winter, I jump up on a southbound train and ride until it's warm enough to jump off. In the summer, I go north, where it's not too hot. How come you're not wearing any socks? Asked Leslie. What, you want some attention? I don't believe in socks, said Bob. Yes, the boy in the green shirt right over there. Were you really a kid once? Asked Todd. Yep, said Bob. Did you get in trouble a lot? Asked Todd. No, I never got in trouble, said Bob. Bob smiled and nodded his head. Or Todd smiled and nodded his head. Did you like to pull pigtails? Asked Paul. Of course, said Bob. Who doesn't? Did you like ice cream? Asked Mauricia. I loved it, said Bob. What was your favorite subject in school? Asked Jenny. Spelling, said Hobo. Spelling, exclaimed Jenny. I don't like spelling. I once came in first place in a spelling bee out of all the kids in my school, said Bob proudly. Well, how come you became a hobo? Asked Damien. I mean, if you're such a good speller. I'm not sure, said Bob. When you grow up, you're supposed to turn into something. Some kids turn into dentists. Others turn into bank presidents. You're being good. I didn't turn into anything, so I became a hobo. Did you ever try to get a job? Asked Calvin. I tried, said Bob, but nobody would hire me because I didn't wear socks. So why didn't you just wear socks? Asked Eric Fry. I told you, I don't believe in socks. Yes, the girl with the cute front teeth. Rondi lowered her hand. She was missing her 2 front teeth. What do you like to eat? She asked. Mulligan stew, said Bob. My friends and I collect scraps of food all day, and then we cook it up in a big pot and share it. It's always different, but very tasty. Why is it called Mulligan stew? Asked Stephen. I know you would like to eat this book, Finnegan, but you can't, because then what would I read? There was once a hobo named Mulligan, said Bob. He made the first Mulligan stew. Was he a good cook? Asked Todd. No, he wasn't a good cook. Everyone said together, why not? Allison raised her hand. Can't you just wear socks, even if you don't believe in them? She asked. Socks, Bob shouted so loud it scared everybody. Is that all you kids ever talk about? Is socks? Socks, socks, socks. Albert Einstein didn't wear socks. Why should I? Who's Albert Einstein? Asked Eric Ovens. Mrs. Jules answered that question. She said Albert Einstein was the smartest man who ever lived. Was he also a hobo? Asked DJ. No, he was a great scientist, said Mrs. Jules. Why didn't Albert Einstein wear socks? Asked Joy. Because socks make you dumb, said Bob. That's not true, said Mrs. Jules. Albert Einstein was just too busy thinking about big important things to remember to put on his socks. Maybe, said Bob. But remember, I told you, I won the spelling bee. Well, the day I won the spelling bee, I forgot to wear my socks. How about that? Think about that, huh? Everyone thought about it. You listening? So after that, I never wore socks again, said Bob. Mac raised his hand. Once, I could only find one of my socks, he said. Man, I looked everywhere for it, under the bed, in the bathroom, and you'll never guess where I found it, he asked the hobo. Was it in the refrigerator? Asked Bob. Mrs. Jules' mouth dropped open. How'd you know? Bob shrugged. Where else would it be? Everybody had lots of questions for Hobo Bob, but Mrs. Jules rang her cowbell. Show and tell is over, she announced. Let's all thank Bob. Thank you, Bob, everyone said together. You gotta quit that. You're welcome, he replied. Do you know the way out of school? Asked Sherry. Not sure. Just go straight down the stairs, said Sherry. Thank you, said Bob. But don't go in the basement, warned Sherry. Hey, come here. Come here, it's almost done. Come here. Come here. How about another Cheerio? You gonna be good? A couple more seconds. But don't go in the basement, warned Sherry. I won't, said Bob. He shook Sherry's hand, then waved goodbye to the rest of the class, and he headed out the door. Everybody waved back. Sherry returned to her seat. It was time for their weekly spelling test. Everyone took out a piece of paper and pencil, and Mrs. Jules said the first word is, "Wait a second," said Calvin. "I'm not ready yet." Mrs. Jules waited while all the children, you ready for this? Took off their socks. The end. He doesn't sit as good as you boys and girls do for story time. If I could sit here and pet him while I read, I think he would be better. But he's not very good. All right, say goodbye, Finn.